Hey guys, welcome to another Vlogmas. Today is Vlogmas day 12. So I basically started reading a lot in April of this year. I don't know why, I just started seeing a lot of TikToks of Colleen Hoover books that I've always been interested in, but I've just never picked up to read or bought to read. And then I think the first book I bought was Verity, or It Ends With Us. One of them I think was my first. I think Verity I read first, and then It Ends With Us. And I loved both, so I really started to get like hooked into reading. I was reading a bunch of her books first, and then I ventured out into other genres like thrillers and things like that because I loved Verity and I wanted to deep dive more into the thrillers. And then I also love, of course, a good romance, and I actually read one fantasy book this year. I don't think you guys will be surprised at which one I read, but here's my list of books that I loved and the list of books that I did not love so much in 2023. This is in no order either, but the first book on my list is The Housemaid. So this book is about Millie. She's the housemaid and Nina is the owner. And Nina is literally the queen of gaslighting. She will tell Millie, go clean that up over there, wipe it down with like a specific wipe, turn it 10 times, I don't know, just she'll make up some crazy thing for her to do. She'll do it exactly like to a T how she asked, and then she'll be like, oh, what's wrong with you, you stupid idiot, like what did you do, well, you did that wrong. And she would do that throughout the entire book, so that kind of annoyed me, but I feel like it made sense with who her character was and why she needed to be that way, for then Millie to be like, yeah, something's definitely wrong with you. And I feel like it's a really good thriller because one crazy thing just keeps happening after the next, and you're like, whoa, slow down, what's going on? Who is she going to dinner with? It's a lot. And I can honestly never put Freida McFadden books down. I can literally read it in one sitting. I think I read this book in 3 hours, and I think I read The Housemaid's Secret the same day, if I'm not mistaken, because that's just how addicting they are. It really draws you in and you need to know what happens next. And now The Housemaid's Secret. That was another favorite of mine. But honestly, the plot twist in this one, I feel like might be even better. And when the ending happened, I didn't fully understand it at first, and I literally had to go back and reread it because I was like, who did that person do that to? And who is this one? And wait, was it that one? It was just really confusing for a second, and I had to reread it, and I was like, oh, now I understand. But it's basically a similar story, but Millie works for a different couple, and she only really meets the husband for a long time, and the wife is kind of like missing. It kind of gives like Verity and The Wife Upstairs kind of vibes-ish, because then she thinks there's like something wrong with the wife. But like I said, the plot twist is just crazy and definitely worth the read. And I'm just gonna get this one out of the way now. Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover was amazing, and I'm very upset, but I don't think they're doing the movie on it anymore because they wanted to change not Millie, they wanted to change I don't remember the character's name, to be honest, but they wanted to change her to be a flight attendant like the guy is, and I just feel like that would have ruined the whole story because that's just not who she was. Like, why change a book when it's literally perfect? I just found myself very involved in the book and like in their relationship. I'm like, no, like they have to stay together, like this has to be. I really loved it. Another one that I really loved was The Paris Apartment. And first reading it, I didn't love it, but then when I got towards the end, I was like, whoa, because it kind of goes slow in the beginning, but then once you get towards the end, you keep thinking to yourself, what is going to happen? Like, what is actually wrong with the brother? Is something wrong? Is he dead? Is he alive? Is he going to be found? Is the book going to end? And we just don't know exactly what happens to the brother. It's just, you don't really know until like the very end of the book what happens to the brother. But basically the brother lives in Paris. The girl comes to visit him. He's like, you can visit whenever you want. But then she comes to visit, and then there's literally no sign of her brother, and she doesn't find him until literally the end of the book. Also, it was really creepy because, you know, it's in another country, so I don't know a lot about that country, and I don't know, the way they made it feel, it was always just very eerie. Like, you always thought that like someone was gonna come like kidnap her, or like her brother was kidnapped, or this happened or that happened, or like he was murdered or whatever, and you just never know what's gonna happen. And they make you feel like some of the characters, like some of the guys in the book, like there's like a doorman, or there's a couple of like creepy people that I'm just like, ugh, but I actually really loved them in the book. A Flicker in the Dark was honestly just a really good read. It was one of those that I like wasn't totally on the edge of my seat the entire time, but I also couldn't wait to find out what happened. Like, I just wanted to know what happened because I kind of predicted the ending, but it also still was a big plot twist. but it's basically about a family who the father is a serial killer, and it follows along the brother and sister, mainly the sister in the book, and she basically tries to find out really what happened with those girls, and she's a psychiatrist now as an adult, and all these teenage girls keep going missing, so and they think it's like a copycat serial killer, which happens apparently a lot, which is really scary. But the ending was crazy, because even though I pretty much predicted it, I was like, I can't believe I was right. Like, I'm so happy I was right. I wasn't like, oh, this is boring, I know exactly what's gonna happen. It ends with us. Need I say more? It seriously was just so good. I just love the characters, and you know what? I don't even remember the girl's name, but I remember Atlas. That's all I have to say there. I love him. I cannot wait for the motion picture to come out. It's gonna be February 9th. I am gonna be like, I hate being first row, but I would be like middle row of that theater the second it comes out. I'm so excited. Okay, so I have 3 more on my faves before I get to the worst books of 2023. In my opinion, of course. Maybe Someday by Colleen Hoover was good. I truly liked the first book, and I thought it was cute. It was a little bit more realistic than the second and third books. Honestly, I did not like the second and third books because, like I said, it just was so unrealistic, and it just became really cringy. I literally couldn't stand it anymore. I did finish the books because I have a thing where I literally cannot not finish it. I have to finish it, even if it takes me months. I have to finish it. The last 2, I was just like, it wasn't good. I wouldn't reread it again. Reminders of Him by Colleen Hoover I thought was really good. I didn't think I was gonna like it once I found out kind of what was happening, but it honestly was a tearjerker. I was upset, and it was just such like a cute, I don't want to say a cute story because it was like a tragic story, but it was just, I don't know, like I can't describe it any other way, but it was just a tearjerker. It was just like a beautiful story because everybody made her out to be the bad guy in the beginning, and it all just came together in such a nice way, and it really like moved me, you know what I mean? And the last book that I've read of the year, I probably will finish the second book before the year ends, but ACOTAR. A Court of Thorns and Roses was so good, and I truly just cannot wait to read the rest of the series because I think it is so good. Feyre, I honestly loved Tamlin in the book. Some people don't love him in the book. I won't give spoilers, but I feel like there are really good parts of Tamlin, but I feel like the first one was just, it was just so good. It was the first fantasy book I had read in so long, and I'm so happy that my girlfriend got me into it because I truly loved it, and now I'm just so happy to then have all these other books to read about the same story, and that I don't have to wait years for other books to come out. Okay, so here starts my worst reads of 2023. None of them were absolutely terrible where I literally couldn't finish it, but some of them were pretty close. So The Guest List by Lucy Foley, I feel like I truly just don't really click with this author. I think she's the author of The Paris Apartment, and I feel like that's the only book of hers that I liked, that I've read so far. But I do want to give her more tries because I feel like she is a good author. A lot of people really love her, so I'm really just going to give another try. But I don't know, The Guest List, I didn't love it. I felt like it was kind of all over the place and hard to follow in some scenarios. It's about a girl who goes to this wedding. It's on like a private remote island, and then somebody ends up dead, and it's just like, you would think it would be really good, but this is probably my second least favorite book that I've read this year. The first least favorite book that I've read is 8 Perfect Murders. I truly just did not love this book at all. This one was also hard to follow, and there were some things in there that I was just like, I think it's just a little bit, I guess, too gruesome for me. My camera just like stopped recording, I don't know why. But I feel like some of the things that happened in the book were just a little bit like too gruesome for me. I don't know, I could definitely never read like a Stephen King book because I would like die. This is definitely the one book that I really almost didn't finish. My girlfriend had given me this book and I really wanted to love it and I wanted to give it a try. And I did read it all, but I just felt like it was, I don't know, it just wasn't good to me. And I can't really give like a full synopsis because I feel like it's kind of gonna give away some of the book regardless, but all I can really say is that it's like this guy and there's something to do with like someone trying to do the 8 perfect murders, and they're trying to figure out who did the murders and what it's linked to, and it's like about a bookstore, which I thought would be like really cool to read about, but I don't know, I just feel like it just at the end of the day wasn't my cup of tea. Where Lost Girls Go. I liked this book. It was just too long, and I think they could have gotten to the point a lot sooner. And it's about this woman whose child was abducted. I think she was around like 3 years old. And now the lady is a detective, and she was basically put on leave from her one job because she kept going, like trying to find her daughter basically, and like using the databases and everything to like try to find her daughter. She was just going like too crazy with it. So then she joined like another police force, I guess, or whatever it's called, like another investigative team, and she was basically doing the same thing with them, but they were more lenient with her because they understood her reasoning of why she was doing what she was doing. And like a girl ends up like lost in the woods and years later, and she like thinks it's her daughter, and it's just like a whole, there's so many things that go on in the book where I was just like, it was kind of hard to follow. Honestly, it was kind of hard to follow. Meet Me at the Lake. I just truly didn't love this one. I think I really wanted to love it because it was one of those where it was like they dated in high school. He just like ghosted her. I can't fully remember, to be honest, but I think he just like left her and she was like heartbroken, and then they like met at this lake that like he was the contractor for or something like that. I'm sorry that I can't fully remember exactly what his job title was, but it was something like that, where then he was doing work at like near the lake that she worked at. And the fact that I don't really remember it, I mean, I don't always remember characters' names because I'm horrible at remembering names, but the fact that I barely even remember the plot, but also I do remember the plot in a sense, like, I don't know, it just didn't really do it for me. It really just was not my favorite, so that's why it's on my worst list of 2023. Last worst book is Never Never by Colleen Hoover. I understand where she was trying to go with it, and there's a little bit of like sort of like magic in the book, which you would think I would really like because I'm into like that witchy kind of stuff too, but I don't know, I just felt like it was so, I guess it's supposed to be unrealistic, it's fiction, but I don't know, it was just like too unrealistic. Two high school kids that were dating at one point lost their memories, and then they're trying to basically retrace their steps and figure out why they lost their memories. They just go back and forth between all these different things, and then they like don't tell their siblings at first what's happening, and then they do tell their siblings at first what's happening, and then one of them regains their memory back and then the other doesn't, and it's just like, it's just a lot going on. There's two other books that I think you can only get the audio version or like the tablet version for, and honestly I'm just not even gonna bother because that's one that I truly am just like, I'm not interested in it. Just like the other Colleen Hoover books, like the Maybe Someday, it's maybe not and then maybe now. They just really, they didn't do it for me. That's it for the video, you guys. Those were my favorite and least favorite books of 2023. Let me tell you, it is really hard to film every single day when you have a full-time job. I'm just saying it. I commend those of you who have a full-time job, film all the time, do this. I mean, if I was getting paid, maybe it would motivate me a little bit more to do it, but I do just do this as a hobby right now, and it is a lot of fun. It's definitely a good challenge. I like taking on challenges because it really pushes me to move forward. Just like my reading challenge of this year, I read 30 books in the year, and my next challenge for 2024 is going to be to read 50 books, and I think I could definitely do it. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in Vlogmas tomorrow.